The economic success of America during this era resulted in a higher need for a well-educated labor force in the fields of business and industry. As a result, there was a notable increase in the number of students attending high school. In the year 1914, only 1 million American students pursued high school education after finishing elementary school. However, the number had increased to almost 4 million by 1926. High schools experienced changes as the number of students grew. In the past, high schools mainly focused on serving students who had plans to go to college. During the 1920s, high schools started to embrace a wide variety of students and introduce vocational training programs specifically designed for industrial employment. High schools also experienced an increase in the number of immigrant children enrolling, many of whom were not fluent in English. However, schools achieved great success in educating a significant number of Americans, resulting in higher rates of literacy. As a result, a larger number of individuals were able to access and read newspapers, leading to an increase in the distribution of newspapers. Bigger urban newspapers and newspaper networks assimilated smaller local newspapers. During this period, national magazines also experienced an increase in popularity. A few of these magazines acted as sources of news, and by the conclusion of the 1920s, 10 magazines had a circulation surpassing 2 million copies each. Nevertheless, radio emerged as the most influential mass media platform during that time period. Radio networks offered a novel experience for Americans, allowing them to listen together to events in real time. Individuals had the opportunity to listen to the president's speeches or partake in live broadcasts of events such as the World Series. This allowed for the establishment of a collective national experience through audio transmissions. In the 1920s, Americans enjoyed greater wealth and more free time than in earlier periods. The newfound prosperity resulted in the emergence of different trends that caught the nation's interest. Crossword puzzles and games gained popularity as enjoyable pastimes, captivating individuals throughout the nation. Moreover, athletic stadiums are brimming with enthusiastic spectators who are eager to witness the impressive performances of sports stars. Charles A. Lindbergh was a highly renowned individual during that era. He captivated the nation with his extraordinary achievement of becoming the first person to fly across the Atlantic Ocean alone, without making any stops. Lindbergh began his momentous voyage from New York City aboard his aircraft, the Spirit of St. Louis. After flying for a total of 33 hours, he managed to successfully land in the vicinity of Paris, France. Lindbergh's accomplishment fascinated the entire nation. When he came back to the United States, he became an idol, symbolizing integrity and courage during a period when sensationalism and extravagance appeared to be widespread. Movies became a cherished national pastime even before sound was introduced. The Jazz Singer was released in 1927 and became the first film to include synchronized sound. The following year, Walt Disney released Steamboat Willie, which was the first animated film to have sound. The introduction of talkies led to a doubling of movie attendance by 1930. During the 1920s, artists from America distanced themselves from conventional European influences. The plays of Eugene O'Neill delved into the intricacies of contemporary American existence. The composer George Gershwin combined jazz and traditional elements to create music that had a uniquely American sound. Irving Berlin, another notable composer, created a large collection of 1,500 songs, many of which were showcased in Broadway productions or films. American painters portrayed the diversity of America in their artwork. Edward Hopper skillfully depicted the feeling of isolation in American society, while Georgia O'Keeffe beautifully portrayed the magnificence of New Mexico. Their artwork symbolized the modernist movement, which dismissed conventional art as antiquated and aimed to express fresh interpretations. During this period, numerous skilled American writers expressed criticism towards American society. Sinclair Lewis, who became the first American to receive a Nobel Prize in Literature, used his novel Babbitt to satirize the middle-class society of America. The term Jazz Age was coined by F. Scott Fitzgerald to describe the 1920s. In his books such as This Side of Paradise and The Great Gatsby, Fitzgerald explored the negative aspects of this era. In contrast, poet Edna St. Vincent Millay expressed admiration for youth and the liberation from conventional limitations in her literary creations. Certain Americans became disenchanted with American culture and made the decision to reside overseas, specifically in Paris. The group, which consisted of Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway, was referred to as the Lost Generation by writer Gertrude Stein. Hemingway specifically brought forth a simple and tough writing style that transformed American literature,